Mga kababayan, ang Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas, His Excellency Benigno Simeon Aquino III.
Magandang hapon po. Maupo tayo lahat. Senate President Franklin Drilon, Speaker Feliciano Belmonte Jr. and other members of the House, Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales, the Executive Secretary, members of the Cabinet present, Anti-Corruption Development Partners, fellow workers in government, and honored guests. Ulit, magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Filipinos know more than any other nation just how corruption can damage a society. Not only does it deprive the people of resources that are justly theirs, it saps public morale. It loosens the ties that binds institutions and the people together, and it breeds inequality. I myself have pointed out that the 10 years before I stepped into office had been called a lost decade, one in which our country could have developed strong foundations to build upon. Instead, after my predecessor stepped down, our administration found the system of governance long decayed by corruption. Our first actions were not to build on what had been achieved, but to fill the fissures in our public institutions. It is fair to say, however, that there is no gulf between my agenda and the public's collective desire to curb corruption, to end the vicious cycle of self-centeredness, secrecy, and apathy, and to replace it with a virtuous cycle, where the government truly works for its people, allowing the people to know that true public service is not only possible, but eminently doable. This would further empower the government. This was our people's collective cry during the 2010 elections when they voted for the idea behind our campaign for the presidency, which was, simply put, kung walang korap, walang mahirap. Where there is no corruption, there will be no poverty. And our administration has since heeded their call and worked non-stop to shine daylight on our government. The very first element we identified in the fight against corruption is that no one can be above the law. It should not matter what position you hold in the bureaucratic ladder. If you do wrong by the people, then you should be held accountable. We have followed through on this belief. We have filed cases against the former president, who is now under hospital arrest. Like-minded reformists in the legislature have removed from office a Chief Justice who chose to lie on his statement of assets and liabilities and net worth. This after they impeached an ombudsman who apparently saw it fit to put the interests of our political patrons over those of the people. This is not limited to those in public office. This also means that regardless of your professional accolades, if you do not pay your taxes, the state will pursue you. It means that no matter how many resources you have at your disposal, if you choose to smuggle goods, you cannot escape the government. These past 3 years, we have filed a total of 423 cases under our RATS, RATE, and RIPS programs. And just in case you've forgotten what they are, they respectively stand for RATS for Run After the Smugglers, RATE for Run After Tax Evaders, and finally RIPS is Revenue Integrity Protection Service. At the same time, we realize that going after those who did wrong will only yield long-term results if you can rid the system itself of inefficiencies. It would be of no use for us to run against a smuggler, for example, if the bureaucracy itself, with its many systemic fractures and inefficiencies, is not conducive to integrity and moral governance. This is why we ended the era of mere cosmetic changes in the Bureau of Customs by hitting the reset button. We appointed an entirely new set of deputy commissioners to take charge of the agency with newly appointed Commissioner Sonny Sevilla, all of whom are honest and competent. Furthermore, we recalled all personnel in the agency who were working outside their jurisdictions back to their mother units. Ibig sabihin po nun, nag-apply sa hulo na assign sa Manila. Yung hulo, kulang raw ng personnel, yung Manila, sobra-sobra. As for the mid-level officials who have perhaps gotten too used to the old ways, they are now focusing their talents on policy research as we begin to infuse new blood into our ports of entry, perceived by many to be the hotbed of corruption, or one of the hotbeds of corruption. We are confident that these initial steps will give the new customs leadership the wherewithal to truly steer their ship around, for finally, he will have crew members who will steer in the same direction. We also realize the importance of empowering the bureaucracy itself to truly serve the public We did this first by bringing common sense back to the national budget. 3 years ago, the Department of Budget and Management instituted the zero-based budgeting system. The idea is simple. Instead of continually funding the same projects every year, regardless of their effectiveness, we have committed and are doing the studying of every single project to make certain that they are of true benefit to the Filipino people. By doing this, we have minimized bureaucratic red tape and have given rise to a more dynamic and high-functioning government that can render better and faster service to the citizenry. Again, no point in funding useless projects. Use the scant resources to where it will benefit our people truly and best. We are also exploring avenues that will allow us better oversight and a more efficient bureaucracy. For example, we are studying a national payroll system that will help us understand on a very simple basis who really is employed by government. The bureaucracy is 1.6 million people strong, with various terms of employment, with avenues definitely for payroll padding and putting ghost employees on the rolls. This new system will hopefully be able to ferret out all these non-existent employees. It will enhance rather, payroll checks and salaries. Sorry, my mistake. It will abolish the physical payroll check, and salaries will simply go straight to the employees' ATM accounts without intervening red tape, thus fostering efficiency within the bureaucracy. Of course, we also realize the role of the citizenry and of civil society, who have long served as watchdogs of government. It is vital that we provide them the information by which they can track what government is doing. This is the idea behind the websites launched by the DBM and the DOF, called Budget ng Bayan and Pera ng Bayan, which respectively translate to the people's budget and the people's money. These channels allow our citizens to access data on how exactly the government is spending their tax money and to report erring government officials from the DOF and its attached agencies. Furthermore, in the wake of Typhoon Haiyan, or Yolanda as we call it, we launched a government portal called FAITH, or the Foreign Aid Transparency Hub, through which people from all over the world can find records of the aid the national government has received and track how that aid is coursed through government channels. I'm proud to say this initiative has been looked upon by other nations and organizations as a concrete model of transparency and as a shining example of how government can harness technology to benefit the public. These are only few of the many efforts we have made to curb corruption in government, but suffice it to say, our improvements have not gone unnoticed. Here is again the off-quoted Transparency International's improvement of our corruption perception index. So if I can skip that portion and proceed to the next part. Okay. That removed 3 paragraphs from the speech. We are we are well aware. I'm sorry, my teleprompter operator has suddenly gotten confused because I'm continuously editing the speech. That was edited about 20 minutes ago. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what unity of purpose can achieve. Lest I be accused of naivete, allow me to also say, we are well aware that the road ahead will not be without its difficulties. But these past 3 years, we have proven that together, the drastic turnaround of this country's fortunes is within our reach. All it requires is that we put common sense ahead of partisan interests, that we lead by example and not merely appeal to the lowest common denominator, that we empower the public to participate and measure for themselves the progress of their own campaign against corruption. I have full faith that we can succeed because I, along with those working for change in our administration, know what is truly at stake: the real lives, the daily struggles of 95 million Filipinos and the future of this country, which we will bequeath to the coming generation. When we leave public office, we want to be able to say that our generation did not choose to subscribe to the old system fueled by greed, self-centeredness, and backroom deals. Instead, we chose to set the country's sails towards daylight, ushering in an era of honesty, transparency, and accountability. You have my word. I will continue working towards that goal, and I call on all Filipinos and all peoples across all continents to do the same and campaign against corruption. I have full faith that together we can build the Philippines and a world far more just and far more inclusive than ever before. And before I end, I think it is time to pay tribute, of course, to the Chief Justice, the Ombudswoman, the Secretary of Justice, the head of COA, the head of the BIR, the leadership of both the House and the Senate, for they have really and truly been partners. I was listening earlier to this, the setting up of an oversight committee on our compliance. No? And if they are willing to again have additional duties in addition to the Intergovernment Council against, or GAGSI, no, I am more than willing to endorse that idea. Hopefully you will never tire. Hopefully you will never tire of accepting more assignments than what you were originally thought of going to receive. And now I guess we all understand why our terms of employment in government do not actually have a contract, but rather just a copy of the oath. No? Because the duties and responsibilities seem to be never ending. Okay. But again, I think all it takes is for us to open our eyes, go anywhere in the country, and you would have seen the changes of what we can do now versus what we couldn't even imagine just a few years ago. And this is just the beginning. As the song by Michel Legrand said, watch what happens. Thank you. Good evening.